Hello friends, today I'm going to demonstrate to you fusion role-based security model. Let's understand what it means. Security rules. Imagine roles as special keys that unlock different doors in the toolbox, and each key opens only the doors you need for your job or day-to-day activity. In other words, users are assigned roles through which they can gain access to function and data within the application. Role-based security in Oracle Fusion application controls who can do what on which data. So there are three W's we have to remember. I've given example in the tabular format. Let's say an employee can see a payslip, but his own payslip, a line manager is who and can transfer or terminate a worker from his team only. Yeah, so that becomes your which data basically he can have an access to. An HR overall can HR specialist can give promotion to any employee from a particular organization, let's say. Okay, let's understand different type of roles within Oracle Fusion. So duty roles in Oracle Fusion represents a set of related tasks or actions that a user can perform. These roles are designed to align with specific job function within an organization. For example, a duty role might be a payables manager or inventory analyst, each carrying a distinct set of responsibilities. Coming back to job role sits on top and which is going to be assigned to the user. You cannot assign duty role to the user. You can assign only job role to the user. So job roles are at a higher level of or level of abstraction, grouping multiple duty roles together. They are often associated with the broader job functions or departments within an organization. So you can imagine a job role encapsulates a collection of duties that make sense for a particular job title, streamlining access management for users. So let's take an example. Let's say you are a finance person, but you are assigned a role to perform the payment processing and other finance related tasks. Abstract rules. Now, understand abstract roles are more generic roles that can encompass multiple job roles or duties. They are not tied to specific job titles but serves as a way to organize and assign common sets of permissions across various functions. Now, take an example. If I want to identify whether this person is an employee or is a line manager, and based on that, actually, the job roles can behave differently or the function can behave differently. Take an example of expense report function. Now expense report function is take an example is a duty role, right? But when I'm a line manager, I will be able to see the expense report for all my team members, whereas if I'm an employee, I should be able to see only those expenses which are related to me. So this is an identifier which behaves differently and which it identifies whether it's an employee, a line manager, it's a worker. So there are quite few abstract roles. Take a look at this slide, which I wanted to depict for further explanation. So job roles are assigned, or a job role may inherit another job role. A data role may inherit another data role. Abstract role is nothing but it's a line manager or it's an employee or it's a worker, so those kind of abstract role, but that needs to be assigned to the job role. Duty roles are can be our list of all the tasks or privileges basically, and it can inherit from another duty role, and duty roles are assigned to the job role. If you see the arrow going towards the job role, the duty roles needs to be assigned to the job role, and then the job role needs to be assigned to the data role. That's how the whole formation of the roles will work together. Let's do the comparison between eBIZ and Fusion. At the beginning, it sounds confusing, but once you get to know the basic, it's easier and convenient, same as your responsibilities and functions within eBIZ. If you see fusion roles are active concurrently basically, meaning users don't need to select a specific role upon login. Whereas in EBS, you might have seen once you have logged in, you have to select the responsibility. So if you've got two responsibility called account payables and account receivables, if I'm going into account payables, it will show me only those many options, those many forms, those many reports which I can run on. Um, and if I'm selecting, switching the responsibility from account payables to account receivables, then I need to select, I can select only receivable options basically. Whereas if you see Oracle Fusion, there are four major roles. One is abstract roles. Abstract role is nothing but it's a identifier which identifies whether this user is an employee or a line manager. And there are a couple of other abstract rules as well, actually. So based on that, actually, the logic has been written behind the scene. Take an example, if I'm submitting the expense report, right? And if I'm a line manager, I should be able to see all the expense report for my teams. Whereas if I'm a user, if I'm an employee, and if I'm trying to select the expense report, I won't be able to see all my expense reports. I'll be able to see only my expense report, not my team's expense report. So this is how the logic has been written behind the scene because of the data policy. So you need to assign the data policy accordingly. Yeah. And job roles is more of an aggregation of duty roles, and duty roles is more of an aggregation of privileges. Now, you cannot assign duty roles to the users directly. You need to assign job roles to the user profile. So when you assign the job roles to the user profile, it inherits all the duty roles underneath, and it will inherit all the privileges under the duty roles, and those are going to be assigned to a particular user to perform their task. So after you have logged into Oracle Fusion, you need to come to hamburger menu and you need to select tools and security console profile option. Now, one thing I would like to highlight is you can select this option only when you have been assigned IT security manager role. I'll quickly show you this IT security manager role. Now, this has been assigned to myself. If you scroll down, you can see IT security manager. So if you don't have IT security manager role assigned to yourself or your user profile, you won't be able to come to this option. As simple as that. Okay. Now coming back to roles. Now this is the role screen where you're going to be creating your abstract roles, you're going to be creating your job roles and privileges, etc. So if I'm creating a role, it will ask me like what is my role category. It could be a duty role, it could be abstract role, it could be finance. I can show you. I can finances, yeah, finance duty role or finance job roles. Okay, and within that, actually, you will have all the privileges. So if in a way, if you try to understand what is job is role is nothing but is encapsulation of all your duty roles. So job roles is going to be assigned to the user profile, and duty role is just sitting behind and it will provide you the privileges. So one of the privileges like whether I can print the invoice, I can print the invoice, I can print the supplier, I can create the supplier. So those are my duty roles. I should be able to create duty, I should be able to perform the task, but that's going to be encapsulated within job role. So if I'm account payables manager, I will have more options. I can create supplier, I can create invoice, I can approve invoice, I can update invoice, etc., etc. Yeah. So this is a role screen, which I'll come back later. We'll just quickly dissect one of the existing roles. Okay. So if you see my account manager, this is my account manager role. Okay. So this is my account manager job role. I don't know who's done this one actually. Like they have assigned job role within job role, but yeah, that is going to be possible. That's possible as well. But yeah, I should be able to run a submit account payables trial balance report. So this particular privilege has been assigned to a report, right? Submit payables withholding tax report, withholding tax letter. So I should be able to, because I do have a privilege, I on a BI, I can select if the privileges are assigned, or these privileges are assigned to this particular user, then they'll be able to submit the report. Payables invoice inquiry, so I should be able to do the payable invoice inquiry as well, actually. So there are quite few duty as well as privileges assigned to this particular job role. Yeah. There's another option. You can compare roles. Now, it's very difficult within Oracle eBusiness Suite to um, I would say to compare the responsibility, to compare the role, whereas this one gives you, this will allow you to compare the roles, and it will identify from which role to which role, and it will allow you to come, it will allow you the gap, and it will find the gaps as well actually between the two roles. So we don't end up creating multiple roles in the system. And Oracle suggests actually to use the existing seeded roles because they have gone through governance, risk, and compliance. And if you, due to some reason, if you want to customize, you need to copy seeded role. You cannot copy, you should not be changing the existing role. Instead, you should be copying the role as a custom role. Oracle automatically prefix it with XX. And yeah, so if I'm saying copy, so if it's a copy top role and copy top role and inherited roles, that means it will copy the complete set. So it's not XX, but yeah, this is also a customization configuration basically, whether we want to suffix it or prefix it. So Oracle automatically creates a job role which is underscore custom. Yeah. Press next button. It will show you the function security policies. The functional security policies are nothing but it's a more granular, I would say, the task you can perform with this job role. You can manage file import and export. You can manage business unit. That means you can create business unit. Yeah. So it is more comprehensive. You can search the purchase order or search the supplier. Okay. Coming back to data security policy. Now, data security policy is is more granular in this particular case because what will happen is to a particular function, a policy, you can create a policy basically saying, okay, this guy can do this. Let's say, take an example. Within collaboration framework, if I'm selecting the data source, because it is at a lower granularity, because it is at the database level and object level. So all I'm saying is it says CMK collab docs underscore docs B, basically. That's a table. So it will allow you to read, update, and delete, right? So you can control that. But that's not going to be possible when you are allowing access or putting the data policy using the managed data access to user. That's limited to a specific like business unit or a legal entity or a reference data set. It's limited, but this is more at the granular level actually. It is more at a I would say object level. Yeah. So take an example of this one. Account payables when I can view purchasing document header transaction further. So this is my policy. I've given the name to this policy. I've selected the data source, which is purchasing document header, and then it will ask me what exactly I can do with that particular policy. So I can read purchasing document header, and I can view purchasing document header. So I can't do anything else. So, and also like you can add additional conditions on top of it. So I'll show you like how do we create privileges, and it differs based on the policy and based on the object. Okay. So it has picked up all the roles and inherited roles and built an hierarchy, and then the next step is basically to assign to a user. When you are assigning to the user, you don't have to go to the user screen in this particular case. Now, since this role has not been assigned to a user because it's a custom role, you can add it to the user. And then the next last part is the summary part, actually, which will give you what exactly the functional security policy is, what is data security policy is, and who all are the users who have been assigned to this particular role. Okay, so let's edit one role and then we'll start dissecting further. Let's dissect and understand data policies. We will pick one of the job role to just to understand the formation of that particular job role from the functional security policies as well as from the data security policies. Functional security policies is more apparent, I would say, like because it is connected to the privileges, whereas when it comes to data security policies, it is specific to the data object and what operation you can make on that particular data object. And I'll quickly show it to you because that's more complicated. Okay, so I'm just going to select one of the job role and I'll try to copy rather than touching the seeded one. Okay, it will provide you two options, copy top role and copy top role and inherited roles. That means the second one is like if there are hierarchy of roles, then everything is going to be copied across. Okay, so I'm just going to select copy roles, inherited roles. And if you see, it will create another role code. It will create a role code and suffix it with underscore custom. And this is also configurable actually, whether you want custom, you want XX, that's also configurable. Okay, but by default, this is it is going to be suffixing with underscore custom. Okay, when you press next button, now if you see functional security, it will copy all the sub functional securities, like along with the privileges, along with the duty roles, along with the inherited roles as well, actually. Yeah. And when it comes to data security policy, now I'll show you these are the data security policies which got inherited. But I'll quickly show you how exactly data security works. So if I'm trying to create a new data security policy on supplier, let's say supplier lookup. Now I want when a user is selecting when your user is going into the supplier creation and it has got lookups, let's say, I want that lookups to be restricted. And that will be based on the data security. Now, if you see, I'm just uh, trying to restrict some of the values from the supplier lookups. So I'm just selecting supplier lookups. Now, moment you say supplier lookups, it will ask you data set by key or instance set or all values. All values are very straightforward. Yeah. That select by key, that means it will ask you which lookup type, which lookup code is going to be applicable. And if you select by instance set, then you can provide a condition Yeah, so access the supplier for tables, look up for the supplier for which they are associated. These are the predefined condition names which Oracle has provided based on the instance set. Yeah, behind the scene, Oracle is taking the complexity. But this is very straightforward. Like if I'm saying access the supplier for table POZ underscore lookup code for all suppliers in the enterprises, or for all supplier sites in the enterprises. Okay, so that is my condition. Then comes the action. What action a user can take, whether he can delete the supplier lookup, he can add the supplier lookup, or you can delete, or he can update the supplier lookup. So these are the actions, these are predefined actions, and those are based on data source, which data source you are selecting. Now, if I select, let's do one thing. I'm just going to cancel this one. I'm trying to create select another one. Let's say, okay, so okay, this is buggy actually. So let me come back to the screen one more time. Okay, so if you see application lookup type, it will ask you based on instance set, it will ask you FND lookup types. So here you can control which lookup types you want to display. Now, if I'm selecting by key, then it's going to be specific key basically, like specific lookup type and application ID number. And the action remains the same. The action is also going to be different based on the data source, as I said. It's going to be read. You can delete the lookup type. You can update the lookup types. You can delete the application lookup types. You can update the lookup codes within the lookup types. Yep. So, so this is the data security, and it is dependent on each and every object types which you are going to be selecting. So, if I'm going to be selecting, let's say, business unit, it will have a different. And I'm just going to select. Okay, again, it's asking for the business unit number, and if I'm saying instance type, and it will ask me the whole list of conditions which Oracle has already defined for us. And then an action basically, like whether this can be done in manage expense policy, this can be available in manage receivable receipt method account. Yeah, so these are the okay. So these are the options which Oracle has provided. Okay, and once you have created a custom role, you can press next button and it will show you the role hierarchy as well, which I said in the previous one. Actually, like when you are copying the role, it will ask you inherited roles, so it will give the complete snapshot of role hierarchy and the users. At this point, you can assign to the users. So if I'm assigning this at this point, you don't have to go to the user screen and then query the user and then assign the role. The role can be created and straight away assigned to the user. Okay. And once you press the next button, it will give you the summary. Okay, which is my other function security. These are my security data security policies. These are my role hierarchy, and these are users added. And once you press the submit and close button, the role is going to be created. A custom role is going to be created and assigned to the user. Okay. Let me take up this last session on simulation. How do we simulate actually? So how do we know, okay, what roles or job roles or duty roles have been assigned to us and how it will work? So let me go through simulator option. So you need to come to tools, security console, and you can select any role. I'm going to select account payables manager role, let's say. Okay. Now you can see from here, like it's very difficult to understand, like because it's amalgamation of like job roles, duty roles, privileges, etc., etc. Now, how do we simulate and how it will look like on the screen? You can do it through this one, simulate navigator. Okay, when you come to the simulate navigator, you can see like it will show you all the options, all the roles assigned to this particular user profile, and there are going to be locks available basically, right? But I would like to see only those options which are related to account payables manager. So I can filter this out and I can say access granted. Now, which all options have been granted against this particular role, accounts payables manager? So if you see on the left hand side, you'll see payables dashboards, invoices, payments, supplier. So you can create supplier. I can quickly check what exactly you can do it. Okay, so when I click on that option, it will show me view roles that grant access and view privileges required for menu. So if you see, you can go for overview, manage suppliers, register suppliers, but you can't create suppliers. Okay, that has not been granted. Now, if you go to invoices, so invoices gives you pretty much all options like invoice workbench. You can create invoice, manage invoice, apply missing conversion rate because I'm this is a these are the roles which are assigned to account payables managers. Obviously, it has to have more privileges. So I can validate invoice, I can initiate approval workflow, import invoice, etc. So all these are the privileges. Okay, so if you see on the tool side, I can see the work list, set the preferences, I can have an approval process as well. Wherever there's an exclamation mark, it says this may not be visible in the navigator due to configuration setting or other application variables. So yes, approvals are not going to be, or work lists are not going to be visible, but yes, that's going to be available actually as and when like work lists are assigned to a particular user. Okay, so this was the simulator part. Hope you liked my session. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.